Hello and welcome to this live stream session, which is all about leadership and management apprenticeships at Montfort University. A huge thank you for joining us today. My name's Kate Watson. I'm a business development manager at Montfort University and I'll be hosting your session. So we'll start with a presentation from Donna Kwanzaa, who is apprenticeship lead, and she will talk through two key leadership and management degree apprenticeships at Montfort University, the Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship and the Senior Leader Apprenticeship. We will then hear from an apprentice on the Chartered Manager Degree programme, Dan Marshall from KFC. And following this, we will hear from our apprenticeship funding specialist, Julie Oliver, who will talk about the university's levy transfer scheme. And then finally, we'll be answering your questions. So before we begin, I would like to invite our guests on screen to say hi and introduce themselves. So Donna, would you like to start?
Hello everybody, my name's Donna Kwanzaa and I'm the Apprenticeship Academic Lead for the School of Leadership Management and Marketing here at Montfort University.
Thank you, Donna. And Dan?
Hi guys, afternoon. I'm Dan, I'm from KFC UK and Ireland, and I am the regional coach, also essentially a regional manager for all of our restaurants in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Been with the business for 5.5 years and very much looking forward to talking to you guys today.
Brilliant. Thanks, both. So before I hand over to Donna, I would just like to encourage you all to put any questions that you might have in the chat function, and we will answer those questions at the end of the presentation. So let's hand over to Donna.
So I'm going to deliver you a presentation to tell you about our two management apprenticeships that we have here at Montfort University, those being the Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship and the Senior Leader Apprenticeship Executive. So here are some contact details. Mine is the bottom contact detail there. The person above me, Percy Emmett, that's my line manager, and Percy is the subject leader for entrepreneurship and specialist management. You can contact both myself or Percy, and towards the end of the presentation you'll also see contact details for Kate as well. So the presentation is going to provide a short introduction for businesses and staff applicants. It's going to provide information on the programmes, who the programmes are for and how to apply. So what are apprenticeships? Apprenticeships are work-based applied learning. They are designed around apprenticeship standards based on skills, knowledge and behaviours, along with personal development. They are practical and applied programmes created in collaboration with a group of leading employers, and they can be funded in a number of ways. The employer's apprenticeship levy, co-funded with the employer and the government, and Gilly, who will be coming to talk to you later about our Montfort University levy transfer scheme. What is unique about apprenticeships is that they are a tripartite contract with support for learning at work and university, and the tripartite contract is based around the apprentice, so the learner, their employer and us, the university. Apprenticeships do require apprentice commitment to them. So there is a need to dedicate a minimum of 6 hours per week baseline to apprenticeship development. May sometimes be heard as 20% off the job. It doesn't have to be every week. It doesn't have to be like a day off work every week. What that can mean is that it could be away from their normal role for 6 hours per week. So it could be shadowing somebody more senior than them. It could be going into a department where they don't normally work, and it could be based on the needs of their next module or assignment, for example. Apprentices need to engage with all apprenticeship activities. They need to be able to attend all study days, and knowledge sharing as part of the supportive community of learning. And that supportive community of learning is something that we really do focus on at Montfort University. Apprentices need to complete all required academic assignments. Alongside the actual degree qualification for each of the programmes, they also need to build a portfolio of evidence of management based on the standard knowledge, skills and behaviours. They need to complete the apprenticeship endpoint assessment, and they need to have access to a workplace mentor. The support we provide here at Montfort University is dedicated support from an academic to review and assess the progress throughout the programme. We have dedicated module and programme leaders who are experienced industry practitioners as well as knowledgeable academics. They have full access to the university resources such as the library, LinkedIn Learning, which is our virtual learning environment, specialist services and tailored careers advice. We also provide full support from application through to completion of the apprenticeship. We develop networking opportunities and we contextualise content aligned with your industry. So delivery of the teaching materials, we use a variety of examples from all different industries and sectors of the business world. So I'm now going to provide more specific detail about the Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship. So it's aligned to the Level 6 Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship Standard, and it's designed by employers in partnership with the Chartered Management Institute. It takes approximately 3.5 years to complete, leading to 4 qualifications at the end. The BA Honours Business and Management from De Montfort University, a Chartered Manager Apprenticeship, which is a Level 6 apprenticeship, a CMI Level 5 Certificate in Management and Leadership, and on completion of the apprenticeship, which is assessed by the Chartered Management Institute, the successful apprentice can then apply for their Chartered Manager status. The modules that will be studied on the Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship, as you can see, it's 3 years there. It is a degree, as noted on the previous slide, a BA Honours degree. The Year 1 modules are personal effectiveness for managers, internal and external business environment, finance and accounting for managers, and inclusive talent management. So the first module there provides the apprentice with more of an understanding about their current management and leadership skills, the way that they would like to learn, gets them to understand the way they approach management and leadership within their organisation. The second module is exactly what it says on the tin. It's internal and external business environment, looking inside the organisation and outside the organisation, the influences that they have in the way that the organisation works. Finance and accounting for managers. It's an introduction to understanding finance. It's not a need to, by the end, that you'll be able to be a financial accountant. It's be able to look at financial data and budgets to help make decisions. And inclusive talent management is very much focused around human resource management. Year 2, developing collaborative relationships, project management, sustainable innovation and digital transformational for organisational improvement, and optimising business success. Developing collaborative relationships is a module where it's looking at all stakeholders for the business, those internal and externals, how to manage those relationships to be effective, to have effective business going forward. Project management is learning the skills of project management, so effective projects can be undertaken within the organisation. Sustainable innovation and digital transformation is looking at how digital aspects such as apps, software, and other, it could come down to successfully and effectively using something like Excel spreadsheets to help with decision making, to be able to innovate within their own organisation. And optimising business success has very much a focus towards marketing of the organisation. Year 3, the first module is strategic development and planning. The second is management, organisations and leadership. And lastly, there is a bigger module, the applied work-based project. So strategic development and planning is looking at the organisation, their strategy, effects from outside the organisation, and how the organisation should either maintain or change their strategy to be successful in the future. Management, organisations and leadership is a bookend to the very first module in Year 1. It allows the apprentice to see how they've developed their leadership and management skills. It allows them to focus more intricately on the needs of the organisation and the impact that they have and how that they can drive change, how they can influence. It's using all the skills that they've learnt in all the other modules. The applied work-based project is something that is needed for their portfolio of evidence. It's also part of the degree qualification of the programme. It's the bigger module, it's 60 credits, all the others are 30 credit modules. So the applied work-based project is a live project that is a need within the organisation. It's a project that is agreed with the apprentice and their workplace along with the university. And it's about sorting a problem or an issue, improving some area of the organisation. They take the project into their apprenticeship assessment with CMI as part of their qualification, the apprenticeship qualification. The next Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship starts in September, with the first module being taught on the 23rd and 24th of September. Each of the 30 credit modules are delivered over 10 weeks. The applied work-based project, it's a 60 credit module, and because it is bigger, and we do find that apprentices are very much influenced around the timescales and around the workplace, that is a 26-week module. Each module is 3 days worth of teaching, with 2 days on campus and 1 day online. The online day is approximately week 4 or week 5 of the module. The apprenticeship includes the following: self-directed learning and contextualised study resources, which are available on LinkedIn Learning, on Learning Zone, which is the contextualised study resources. We do also have access to LinkedIn Learning as well. We provide the one-to-one academic support, the one-to-one workplace mentor support, the input from the academics, practitioners and guest speakers who are experts in their field. There is one assignment per average per module. The only difference being the applied work-based project has 3 parts to it. The De Montfort University Virtual Learning Environment, we have access to CMI resources, LinkedIn Learning, the library services, learning support services and further student services. And of course, the networking opportunities. We have mixed groups from people from all industries, whether that be private, public, not-for-profit and charitable sectors. The entry criteria for the Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship is that each apprentice needs to be employed in a leadership or management position where they take lead responsibility for people, projects, operations and or services for a minimum of 30 hours per week. The apprentice needs to be 18 years or older. They ideally need to have GCSE English and Maths or the equivalent, but if not, there is a need to pass a level 2 functional skills qualification as part of the programme. That needs to be completed before they can go for the endpoint assessment. However, applicants are considered on an individual basis. Moving on to the Senior Leadership Apprenticeship Executive Programme. It's delivered through an innovative partnership with the employer, again a tripartite partnership, and it takes approximately 2 years to complete. There are 2 qualifications at the end. There is a level 7 academic qualification of postgraduate diploma, and then the level 7 apprenticeship, where again there is the opportunity to gain chartered manager status with the Chartered Manager Institute and a further opportunity to study for an MBA top-up at an available cost. So on successful completion of the Senior Leadership Executive Programme, for those that want to top up to a full MBA programme, there is an additional cost that cannot be paid via the levy. It has to be paid by the organisation, or the apprentice. They would no longer be classed as an apprentice for the MBA, they would be classed as a student, and there is a £1,000 bursary towards that qualification. The modules that will be studied for the Senior Leadership Apprenticeship can be seen on the screen now. The first is dynamic leadership for organisations, the second financial decision making, the third strategy in turbulent times, and the fourth reshaping the future of work. On the right-hand side, you can see explanation of what the modules are. So the first one, leading, managing and shaping organisations for the 21st century, considering that business is now agile, creative and flexible approaches are needed. Financial decision-making, understanding the nature and relevance of different types of cost in relation to financial decision-making. Strategy in turbulent times, explores the strategic management process, applies and rethinks the utility of concept and frameworks, and reshaping the future of work, which is an examination of the work and employment and innovative developments in the new digital era. And then the last 6 months of the qualification or the programme is the endpoint assessment preparation. And that is where the apprentice undertakes, again, a work-based project. We do have a Senior Leadership Apprenticeship Executive Programme starting relatively soon. The induction for these is the 8th and 9th of May, and the first module starts on the 22nd and 23rd of May. Each module is delivered over an average of 4 to 5 months, with 2 days face-to-face on campus and 2 days online via MS Teams. Again, there is self-directed learning and study resources, which requires additional time commitment. There is a need for those off-the-job hours. Again, that's 6 hours or 20%, whichever way you want to look at it. There is a need for the academic and workplace mentor support. There is 2 assignments per modules. Examples of the assignments are reports, podcasts, presentations. Again, delivered by academics and industry guest speakers who are both experts in the field. And again, we use the Montfort University virtual learning environment, the learning zone. We provide the library services and study support services, the full array that a traditional student would have when they joined Montfort University. The entry criteria for the Senior Leader Apprenticeship Executive Programme, of course, it could be where they come from the Chartered Manager degree apprenticeship, and then they can move on to the Senior Leadership Executive qualification. For those that want to have direct entry into the Senior Leadership Apprenticeship, is that they need 2 years management experience with an undergraduate honours degree of 2-1 or above, or work-based management experience of at least 3 years with at least 1 year's experience in a strategic role, and a record of achievement in business and or relevant professional qualifications. So the benefits of apprenticeships, this is for both the Senior Leadership Executive Programme as well as the Chartered Manager Degree Apprenticeship. The benefits are both personal and for the business or the organisation. It develops a better or improved understanding of the organisation. It develops a better understanding of yourself. So apprentices realise their strengths and areas where they can improve, because we have structured reflection on what has been learnt and how to apply it. It allows them to develop a management and leadership toolkit to draw on in different situations. It reinforces and increases current knowledge, skills and behaviours, and learning of new ways of working or thinking about current and future issues that takes the apprentices beyond the lifetime of the programme. There is the knowledge exchange, there is an increase in personal confidence and an immediate return on investment, and as well as observing other areas of business operations and considering alternative perspectives. So the application process for both of the programmes, in the first instance, it's about registering interest with your employer and gaining support from a line manager. The De Montfort University selection process is focused on the applicant and their development within the job role, with the minimum application requirements in mind. The 3 stages at De Montfort University for the application is the documents are collected to confirm eligibility, which are a CV, a job description and certificates for previous qualification. Where an applicant doesn't have level 2 English and Maths qualifications, these will be facilitated for completion at the university in the first year of study. There is a requirement of a completion of a self-assessed skills scan and then an interview around the skills scan results. And then a discussion which includes the line manager to help assess individual eligibility for funding and whether the programme is a good match for the organisation and the person's learning and development needs. So what next? So for both programmes, again, you can contact either myself or Percy, and there is the details for Kate. And thank you for listening to this presentation on the 2 apprenticeships that we have here at De Montfort University.
Thank you, Donna. That was really detailed and very comprehensive. So we've now got the opportunity to hear from Dan as our apprentice on the Chartered Manager. Well, in actual fact, Dan has now completed the apprenticeship programme and is due to graduate tomorrow. So congratulations, Dan. I think it's really useful to get a real life insight into what it's like to study on the apprenticeship programme. So I'd like to ask you a few questions, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah. Apologies, I've got this horrendous cold, so I don't normally sound quite this bunged up, for the benefit of the room.
I can vouch for that. But thanks for joining us under the circumstances. Okay, so what motivated you to join the programme?
Yeah, sure. A great question. It seems like a sensible place to start, to be honest. I think probably to answer that question, a little bit of background context to me is probably useful. So I'd always planned to go to university. That was always the plan. And then I, like so many people do, it took a year out. And I was just like, tell you what, I'll save some money, start work a little bit, do some travel. And then I fell in love with retail. And yeah, decided to change course, and I'm lucky. I've built a career I'm proud of. I've had some wonderful experiences, but I've always regretted not getting that degree, not sort of formalizing the study element. So, and this program's given me a chance to do that and work alongside it, keep progressing the career over the last few years. And I think, yeah, I've always been curious as well about almost like the academic context behind the stuff that I was just doing. So it's given me a chance to fill that gap as well. So yeah, really, really pleased I did it.
Excellent. Okay. And what impact has it had on your career?
Career-wise, I mean, another great question, Kate. I mean, the easiest way I think to define that impact is the fact that actually I've had 3 promotions in the last 3 years of the program. So in terms of like real-world benefit of doing the study, applying it to the roles in the workplace, I don't want to sound big-headed, but I'm really, really pleased with that output. I'm sure it's probably not only the result of the program, but what I would say is that the disciplines, all the stuff I've picked up across the course of those 3 years has really made a difference in a way that maybe I didn't expect it would do. So highly recommend it.
Fantastic. Sounds like it's been a huge success. How do you feel your employer has benefited from you doing this course?
Yeah, I mean, probably in a number of ways. I mean, the first thing, probably the most tangible way, is advocacy of the brand and retention, right? So I've been doing this for 3 years. I've stayed in the business for the 3 years, and I've been committed to the study and completing it. I think the intangibles are more around like my growth in self-esteem and confidence, a deeper understanding of how our business works, the fact that I've had to go and build connections in the organization that I probably wouldn't necessarily build otherwise in order to kind of complete the study. Yeah, and I think I'm probably just more well-rounded as a consequence. So yeah, hopefully I add a lot more value to the business.
Excellent. That's nice to hear, because that's exactly what the programme's intended to do. So what would your advice be to future applicants?
Yeah, I mean, that's a complex one. I think the headline is, as I've said a couple of times now, it's a fantastic experience, but it's not an easy undertaking. So I think I'd really understand what it is you're signing up for ahead of time. But I think to make it work, there's probably 2 standout things I've either had to do or learned to do that's made a big difference. And I think it's twofold. So one, really double down on time management, your diary controls, etc. Because I'm sure a lot of you guys will have pretty demanding day jobs, but doing that alongside the study requires a lot of discipline. But it's possible, but you need to be really organized. and definitely get that right in year one, because as stuff starts to increase through year 2 and year 3, which is wonderful, you really need to get that organization sorted to manage that. And the second thing I think would be stakeholder management, both with DMU but also internally in your business, because big part of that for me is building relationships. So making sure that the guys on my side in the workplace at KFC, they understand what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how I'm getting on, so they can support me. But secondly, don't underestimate the power of building those relationships with the team at DMU, because you will need support at some point during the 3 years. And actually, by building those relationships, the guys are always on hand to reach out, whatever you need. So I guess don't be afraid to ask, but invest that time. It's really paid off for me.
Great. I think you make some really good points there, Dan. And I think it is important to point out that it can be tough studying and working full time, doing the two in combination. So it's sort of managing expectations, but of course also it's very rewarding at the same time. And there's a huge amount of support available from the university and hopefully from on the employer side too. And
you know what, Kate, I actually think I've become a ton more productive in the day job as a consequence of it stretching my thinking. Again, more value is added to the workplace.
Fantastic. Well, I don't have any further questions for you at this stage, but hopefully, Dan, if you hang on, the audience will have some questions for you at the end of the presentations. So I'm going to hand over now to Gilly Oliver. Thank you, Dan. Gilly Oliver is our apprenticeship funding specialist who is here to talk about the De Montfort University Apprenticeship Levy Transfer Scheme.
I'm going to talk to you about the way in which apprenticeships are funded and our DMU Levy Transfer Scheme. The way in which apprenticeships are funded depend upon that employer and whether or not they are levy paying or non-levy paying. Levy paying employers are those who have an annual payroll of over £3 million. They are taxed 0.5% of their payroll on a monthly basis, which goes into a cumulative apprenticeship levy pot, which can be managed on employers' digital apprenticeship service account. These funds can only be spent on apprenticeship training and assessment costs, meaning that they go directly to the training provider and cannot cover anything relating to apprenticeship salary, administration or recruitment fees. Employers have exactly 2 years to spend these funds, and if they have not done so within this timeframe, the government will reclaim unused funds from them. Non-levy paying employers are those who have an annual payroll of under £3 million. Whether or not they get 100% or 95% of the funding then depends on individual circumstances of the apprentices. For apprentices who are aged between 16 and 21 years old, or between 22 and 24 and have an education, health or care plan, will be able to receive 100% government funding for their apprenticeship programme. However, most situations are where apprenticeships will only be funded for 95% by the government, and this is for any other apprentice who is aged over 22. Therefore, this means that employers often have to pay a 5% contribution towards the training costs, and this varies depending on the apprenticeship standard and the funding band that's been allocated for that programme, meaning that employers will have to pay somewhere between £175 and in some cases up to £1,350, which is a lot of money to be contributing. There is a £1,000 incentive payment that employers can receive if they do recruit either a 16 to 18-year-old apprentice or an apprentice who's aged 19 to 24 with an education, health or care plan. However, there is a third option. Whether you are a levy-paying employer that has run out of your own levy funds, or you are a non-levy-paying employer that does not wish to pay the 5% contribution, you can apply for our DMU Levy Transfer Scheme, which would allow you to receive funds to cover 100% of the apprenticeship training and assessment costs. Levy employers are able to transfer up to 50% of their unused annual funds to other employers, allowing them to cover 100% of their apprenticeship training costs. And this is something that we're really proud that we've launched here at DMU. We've launched our new transfer scheme, which will support local employers to develop their internal talent pools, whether this be through recruited apprentices or supporting you with your existing staff development requirements, and this will help us to enhance the regional economy. You can apply for funding for any apprenticeship programme with any training provider, therefore meaning that your training provider does not have to be DMU in order to apply for the scheme. However, hopefully you will want to work with DMU, and if we are your chosen provider, you can apply for the scheme where we will then be the training provider, but it also means that you're free to apply for other apprenticeship programmes that DMU doesn't deliver with other training providers. Applications are welcome from everybody, but we will prioritise Leicestershire-based organisations as it will really help us to make a difference locally to our regional economy. Employees that are able to support and share our DMU values that are really important to us, such as sustainability and equality, diversity and inclusion. And employees where the apprenticeship programmes will help to fill local skills gaps. Please visit our DMU Apprenticeship Levy Transfer Scheme website to find out more and read our terms and conditions and complete your application form.
Fantastic. Thank you, Julie. Okay, so that's enough from us. It's time for the audience to ask some questions. Please do put your questions in the chat box and we'll try and answer them as best as we can. Okay. Okay, thank you, Julia. So Dan, what was the module you learned most from? Question for you, Dan.
Sure. Hi, Julia. I think it's a great question. Someone asked me that recently, actually, and my answer was financial management. So, you really get a chance to go deep on P&Ls and a lot of the kind of financial mechanisms behind businesses in a way that I think I've been in retail, I've been in hospitality for a long time, and I've always kind of managed stuff like this, but actually to really understand the why beneath it and how that applies to other businesses that are different was really, really interesting. Yeah, that would probably be the answer to that question.
Thank you, Dan. Why choose De Montfort University as your apprenticeship provider? Donna, do you want to start off with that one? And I can add to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So here at De Montfort University, we do focus on that relationship with our apprentices. We do provide that very detailed support. The apprentices are assigned a work-based assessor, so they have a point of contact at all times. The lecturers that teach on a module, we have a metaphorical open door policy, so you can email at any time and we will respond. As an apprenticeship provider as well, the results that we get from the apprenticeships for part of the degree qualification are extremely high, and we also have a significantly high success rate in the actual endpoint assessment, which is undertaken by the Chartered Management Institute, in the completion of that with very high grades there. Our success rate is above industry benchmarks.
Thanks, Donna. So another question, what type of businesses or industries can benefit the most from apprenticeships? Donna, do you want to take that one again?
Yeah, so any business or industry. So we do have, like I've said in the presentations, the current apprentices come from all walks of life. We have apprentices that are from big organisations such as where Dan's come from, KFC. We have, multinational organisations, and we have apprentices that come from very small charities where they might only have like 5 or 6 employees within that charity. There is a large scope of businesses that they are suited to. The assignments are based around the workplace. So it's about the apprentices being able to see and apply that theoretical knowledge to their place of work and the industry in which they work in, but also in that consideration of that peer support, that we do have the classes that has everybody together, that you hear other industry examples and other industries' inputs and how they tackle problems and how they undertake say strategy meetings or something like that. Obviously that's going to be vastly different between an apprentice that comes from a charity where there's 5 employees compared to an apprentice that comes from a multinational organisation where their head office might not even be in the UK, it might be in America or something like that.
I think that knowledge exchange is hugely beneficial. And then Dan, I'm sure you would agree, that opportunity to share perspectives with individuals from in similar positions but other organisations is hugely rewarding.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think aside, I don't know if I said this in one of my answers actually, but aside from the academic elements, some of the most value I gained was from networking with people who were also on the cohort and other cohorts actually.
Fantastic. Okay, a question for Dan. Any tips on how you disciplined yourself to make the time to study? That's a really good question. Thanks, Jan.
Yeah, any tips on that? Yeah, try and error. I think touched on it. Year one was before I started. A lot of people said to me year one was relatively straightforward. It's been a while since I've studied, so I was just like, sure, okay, no problems. And it was, and maybe I got a little bit complacent at the start of year two. I was like, oh, this is a little bit more manageable, but more. So I think the thing that I did most actually, or made the most difference, was I carved out time in my diary. And it might sound really, really simple, but I just blocked time out every week to kind of say, right, even if I don't have anything specific I'm going to do, I'm earmarking that to do background reading or assignment work or. And I think something as rudimentary as that made a difference for me. But then, like I said, just keeping my boss at work as well updated on what I was doing when I was doing it. So yeah, they knew where I was, frankly. But yeah, don't overthink it. It's pretty simple. You just got to be really disciplined with it.
There's a huge amount of support from the university as well, Jan, to kind of guide you through that study, so you can get a balance between work and personal life and your learning as well. Okay, do we have any further questions? Yes, Julia, another one for you, Dan. Great tips. So Dan, did you have much support with assignments? I've not been in education for a while.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. So, but it comes flooding back pretty quickly. Actually, I think what I'd say is that the first couple of modules are absolutely designed with that in mind. So, whether it's how to write academically, because that's different. I mean, I do a lot of writing of emails in the day job, lots of WhatsApps, etc. But when you're writing academically, it is slightly different. It doesn't always feel natural to start with. So yeah, the first few assignments are all engineered around almost reteaching you to do that. And I learned loads and loads just from that, actually. And the guys that are teaching you, they do it at a pace that's kind of reflects what everyone needs. And you'll find everybody in the cohort is in a similar situation. You get the occasional person that does a lot of study, but most people are in the same situation that we're in, right? So you help yourself through it. But just and this is an overused expression, I think, these days, but just be kind to yourself as well. Like, don't expect perfect from the off. And actually in year one, that's absolutely fine. So, but you'll be surprised about how quickly you get your head back around it.
I just want to add something to that. So the support around the assignments, when the modules are delivered, obviously there's the theory, etc. that's delivered on those delivery contact time. There is an assignment brief that is provided, and as well as assignment guides. And the lecturers will go over that assignment brief and that assignment guide, and we'll have a discussion to say, so everybody leaves. When they leave, they know exactly, this is what I've learned and this is how it applies to my assignment. But if, for example, you leave for the day or something, and you get settled down a few days later, and you go, right, I'm going to get my thoughts down. You go, what on earth? What have I written there? I don't even recall why I've written that down. That's where the support that we have in place here at the university comes into fore, that you can just send an email and go, I've written this down. I don't quite know why I've written that down. I don't know what it relates to. And we will just say, it's probably this, or it's probably that. Do you remember that discussion we were having about that kind of thing? So that is the kind of support that we will give. We will also as well, we're also quite happy to see small sections of assignments before they're submitted. We won't look at the full assignment, but if there's anything particular that we will that you want to say, well, I've just really struggled on just this little part, I'm not quite sure if I'm on the right lines, can you have a quick read of it? We will always give it a read, and we will always go, yeah, it looks as though you're on the right lines, or you kind of missing the mark there, maybe focus on X, Y, Z, and away you go. So there's no need to worry that you're doing it wrong. The support is there for you to ask, to see, so that you go away and you can do your assignments with confidence that you're doing the best that you can under the circumstances that you're working in at that time of doing that assignment.
Just to build on that as well, just from sort of lived experience, what I've seen, experienced myself, but also seen other students have sort of go through is one-to-one support. So a lot of the sessions are in groups, right? But actually, the guys that are teaching us are really happy to take time off over lunch, after the study days, etc., or even over Teams, and really make time to go through sort of specific questions that you've got that helps with your learning. So it's not so if you don't feel comfortable talking about it in terms of with the wider cohort, there's so much support there that I didn't think I would need, but there was plenty of opportunities actually that I really tapped into it, and it made a big difference.
Fantastic, thank you both. Thank you, Jan. Any further questions? No? Okay, well, it looks like we can close the session. A huge thank you to Donna and Dan for contributing. It's much appreciated, and to the audience as well for attending, taking the time out. Hopefully you understand our apprenticeship programmes a bit better and it's inspired you to apply. Please do reach out if you want to talk to us about apprenticeships as either a potential apprentice or as a business. The email is there on the screen, or you can contact any of us directly as well. So have a great day. You've got an extra 15 minutes back, and thank you very much.